Right here, Coach. Just what have you seen this offseason from Cotton Bowl on, from Chase, and just how he's kind of, especially once he found out that Miles was going to be moving on, how have you kind of seen him take over that number one receiver role and mindset?
Right. I think the important thing is that he's a senior. I think that in the time that we've been here, our seniors have stepped up. I think that he's made the transition from junior to sophomore year, and he understands that there's a great deal that we're expecting from him. So as a senior who's experienced a lot, I think that he's in a great place, and he's done the little things that you expect him to do to preparing for his senior year.
Have you kind of noticed a difference also in just those, practice habits day in and day out, that he's really kind of just carrying himself a little bit different?
Yes, he is. But just like all of us, there's little habits that, a coach has to remind him of, ask him of, and push him through because they are habits.
And then just lastly from me, just how are you feeling about the depth, especially of the younger guys that, might have to step in, whether it's Lawrence, Keys, kind of stepping in for Michael Young as he's out for those first couple games?
Well, I feel pretty good. I mean, you think about, the volume of reps that they get in fall camp. So there's been 2 fall camps. There's also been the spring. And I feel pretty good knowing how many reps those guys get. I think they've gotten a ton of work. I think they understand, what our concepts and what we're trying to do on offense. So I feel good about any one of those guys stepping in. It's just a matter of, the games, getting them ready for the games and understanding the atmosphere here at the stadium.
With Lawrence Keys going through the red shirt last year, I was curious, at what point in the last 12 months did you feel like, okay, this guy's getting it? Like, this is going to click for us?
I think last year, fall camp, he was the one that got the playbook first. He was the one that came to camp, who had studied during the summer and took some of the information and applied it right away. I think because of where he was physically and we needed to develop him a little bit there, he got hurt and then he hit a wall. So I saw pretty early that he was a person that could handle what we were doing mentally. It was just physically we had to bring him along a little bit slower. In
his camp, where is he sort of taking that next step? Is it more of a physical thing than it is a mental thing for him right now?
Well, he's still, redshirt freshman. He hasn't been in the games yet, but in terms of what we've thrown at him and what we've seen, he's able to play fast. He's able to run and understand the concepts. He's able to, compete against the seniors and the older guys, and he's able to make plays. So those combinations of things have really made us feel great about him.
Not a huge guy. Like holding up in the running game, is that something you feel good about right now?
Well, one of the evaluations asked the questions, how does he use his size? And he uses his size to his advantage. He's not shying away from contact, but at the same time, he's able to be small on contact and use that to his advantage. He gets underneath bigger guys and hasn't just been blown off, off a block. But I know that's coming. Somebody's just going to say, go right through him, and that's when he'll understand what that feels like.
Coach, we've seen Chris Fink line up at Michael Young's position with Lawrence in the slot. What makes that transition easy for Chris to just go to another position and fill in for that? What do you make of the whole transition for Chris?
Right. Well, for me as the coach, there's no real transition because we teach big picture. So we teach in concepts, not just what one guy does at one spot. And so for Fink to roll outside, which he did a year ago, he was outside, inside, just like moving guys, Chase around. We didn't have to do that as much a year ago, but this year we're going to do a little bit more, moving guys around, and Fink can play anywhere, in the boundary, in the slot, or to the field.
This year you guys have a lot of running backs that can also catch the football. How involved are you with them, with route running and teaching them kind of the finer points of catching the football and things like that?
As far as the running back goes, I just give him a pat on the back and say, good job, Lance does a great job, run and pass, and understanding what we're doing, when they're out on the perimeter or in the backfield. So for the most part, he's got them, If there's something, because I've been in the system a little bit longer, we kind of talk on the side. But when we're out on the field, it's just great job, and Lance covers all the detail.
You do recruiting in one of the hottest beds of football, Southern California, LA area. What would you say is the biggest, challenge with recruiting an area like that with just so much talent, if there is a challenge?
It's the distance, and it's also the mindset. Being from Southern California, I know there's a mindset there that everybody wants to kind of lay back and take it a little bit slow. It's easier and more comfortable to be there on the West Coast in your comfort zone, but guys are starting to leave the West a little bit more. To come to Notre Dame is a little bit of a challenge because we've got to make sure that they're like-minded guys that understand what we're about and what we're looking for. So since I've been here, it's not just talent-driven. There's a mindset and there's a quality of player that we're looking for. So that's West Coast or anywhere.
Yeah, when you're recruiting in a place like that and you're recruiting someone that's not your position, whether it's a cornerback, safety, wherever, how do you approach recruiting a player that's not your position?
Well, I figure out how good they are. I know what talent looks like. I try to figure out, from people, that are around him, people that are helping him with his decision, and his coaches, who is this kid? Is this the kid that's going to fit here at Notre Dame? So for a guy that's not at my position, I'm more of an information gatherer. We see talent, that's obvious, but I gather the necessary information that says, hey, if I take this to Coach Elston or if I take this to Coach Joseph, I say, you know what, I've done the background check on this guy and he fits. We also know that he's talented. We can work together to try to get this guy on campus and we can go from there.
Thanks.
Coach, to your left, the consensus from both Chip Long and Coach Brian Kelly was that Michael Young was having a great camp before he went down. Where was his greatest area of improvement? What did he do? And it seemed like it started in the spring from the outside, but where did he really improve since last year?
On a personal note, Mike stopped asking me questions, and he just went out and played. He was always trying to figure out, was I right, was I wrong, what could I do better? And you could just hear him in my ear all the time. And then, we started this fall camp, and after 2 years of experience, you just watch him play. And it started off with the first practice and then the second practice. And the little things he made the corrections on. By the time you get to practice 5, 6, and 7, he's on autopilot and he's just making plays. He's accountable, and you don't have to worry about him. And that we got to that point.
I assume you normally like questions from a young guy, but was it paralysis by overanalysis for him? Is that what the
A
issue
little
was?
bit, a little bit. It was, kind of get away from it. Go play. You know what to do. Go and play. But I don't know. It's the receiver position, whether it's attention to just feel comfortable, or if it's attention just to say, hey, look at me. But it's a different breed, and Michael came of age and was doing a great job.
5 months ago, it was possible Javon McKinley wouldn't be on this team. What has he done to put himself in a position to help you guys at the W spot in this opportunities knock for him?
I think he's done things from the ground up. I think that, there's a part of him where he improved on his demeanor. He improved on his communication. The look in his eye, his walk down the hallway, and his attention to detail in the meeting is totally different. So as a coach, you see that, where a guy may slouch a little bit. Now he's a guy that's upright, focused, and trying to do everything he can to let us know, and also for himself. It's time for him to make some plays here at Notre Dame, and he's a totally different kid, and you respect that because he's seen, his setbacks, but now, he's in a position to help us.